Welcome back, everybody, to Our Life Beginnings and Always. We are going to continue what we did yesterday, which was the start of step 2. Let's start right there. You opened your tired eyes, groaning as they adjusted to the bright light. It was streaming through your window and warming your skin, warm and dancing. With a loud yawn, you rolled away from the sunlight and blinked a couple of times. Clearing the sleep from your eyes before realizing with a start that it was actually morning. You couldn't remember even falling asleep. Clove had crept through your window during the night, and the two of you spent time together trying not to wake your parents. You must have fallen asleep while you were hanging out, but couldn't put a finger on exactly when. You wondered how Lake Cove had stayed before heading home. You rubbed your face and yawned again, contemplating whether you should get out of bed and get ready for the day, or stay snuggled up for a little while longer, until your gaze landed on an instantly recognizable mop of pale green hair, and you bolted upright and gasped in surprise. Situated here. Alright. He never left. He was still there in the morning. Cove. He had fallen asleep while sitting on the ground and precariously leaning his head on the side of your mattress. With a shout, Cove's eyes snapped open and his head slipped from its source of support. He didn't stop going down until he smacked right into the floor with a crack. You clamped a hand over your mouth and looked down at him with wide eyes rolled up while he had landed rather ungracefully. Ow. Says Cove. Are you okay? You reached at his tumble, hoping no one else in the house had heard either of your outburst. Yeah, I'm alright, says Cove. Cove rubbed his forehead a little, and you weren't sure that was entirely true. If either of your moms found Now, Cove had slept here last night. The two of you would be in big trouble. Cove blinked at you a couple of times, his eyes growing in panic, as someone thought that only he could hear several people's mind.
Oh my god!
You fell asleep. You weren't exactly sure what to do as you watched Cove pace around, looking around frantically. Cove stopped mid-step and wanted to ask what he had been searching for, but you guessed he wouldn't know the answer to that himself. Despite that, he hadn't calmed down completely. The atmosphere was still fragile. It's gonna be alright. You just need to leave before anyone notices you're here. If they knew we were, if they know we would have heard about it already. Cove nodded, his shoulders tensed as he fixed you with a firm stare with his turquoise eyes. Letting out a heavy sigh, he ran a hand through his hair in expiration. He couldn't look at you again as he spoke. "I'll see you later," says Cove. You were confused by how all this had played out, but hoped that was true. Right? By Cove. At that, you were suddenly wrapped up in a tense embrace. As panicked as he was, this seemed to be something you couldn't forget before leaving. "Thanks again," says Cove. "You're a good friend, Chippy. Really good friend." You firmly whispered the words into the top of your shoulder. It made you feel tingly. But you let go before you had a chance to respond, or even fully react. In a matter of seconds, he had climbed over your bed and opened the window. Cool breeze flowed off the ocean, fluttering through Cove's hair and filling your room with a salty scent. Cove fiercely stepped out into the ledge. You wished him luck. Good luck. Be super careful. You weren't sure if he heard you or not, but he kept going along, one foot in front of the other, with increasing speed, until his form disappeared out of sight. You stuck your head out the window as far as it could go to try keeping watch. He walked the full length of the ledge before jumping down to the top of the garage, then lowering himself to the fence. From there, he finally dropped down to the ground. He threw out a thumbs up at his successful climb. He ran off towards his house without stopping, disappearing behind the side of another building. You had to admit that you were pretty impressed at how doable he had made that look. Cove always seemed to have a way of seeming so much move without even meaning to. With a little sigh, you reclosed your window, deciding there was nothing more you could do. You hopped off your bed and got ready to head downstairs for the day. I made my bed. It was a habit of yours. You straightened up your sheets, smoothed over your comforter, and fluffed your pillows before stepping back and admiring your work. You took the stairs slowly, attempting to mask your face into a look of innocence. You were sure that someone would have come into your room if they had heard anything strange, but you couldn't be careful. You had to play it cool. When you stepped into the living room, Elizabeth was there, tapping her finger on the counter. Good morning, Elizabeth. She looked you over immediately, her eyes squinting at the green.
Why?
Why are you being so weird? You hadn't done anything. Your big sister never missed a beat, unfortunately. You turned and offered a tight smile, and her lips were sewed together even tighter. Chippy? I'm gonna climb up. She began to smile, thinking whatever you were hiding was bigger than she assumed.
Come on.
What's going on? Says nothing. Further suspicious, squinting accord occurred as she waited for something. But ultimately she rolled her eyes, and you weren't sure if you were in trouble or not. She didn't seem to care enough to dig any further. Whatever, says Elizabeth. And then she walked straight out the front door, letting it slam shut behind her. And you let out a brief sigh. Elizabeth went out most days to hang out with her friends from school around town. Today you were extra glad for it, though you were also grateful she hadn't left the house any sooner and risked running into Cove. It looked like you were getting away with it. Breakfast was eating in peace and alone. Your moms were both out by the time you had gotten they had left you a serving of food from the breakfast they made. Hash browns, an omelet, fruit salad, and there were a few sausages. You took a little bite of everything. It was tasty. You appreciated what there was, a variety in the meals your moms made. The day lazily drifted by. You pulled open the fridge again, lingering in the frosty air for a moment or two before grabbing a bottle of ice cold water and taking a long drink. It was perfect. Balmy summer afternoon, and you had decided to head outdoors and find something to do. You hadn't decided what that something was just yet, but you were sure something would pop up to occupy your time. As you were heading out the front door, you paused for a moment. You hadn't seen Cove since he had left that morning. You couldn't help but think about what had happened to him. Would it be bad to go over to his house right now, or to call him to check in? You stepped out of your house, still stuck in an intentional debate with yourself, when a voice caught your attention.
Hi!
Hi, Chippy. Confused, you looked over to where an unrecognizable woman was waving at you, a friendly smile plastered on her face. You raked your memory for where you might have seen her before, but nothing came to mind. Not your school or from the county club your moms took you to. You had absolutely no idea who the woman was. The woman crossed the road towards you, and you were a little unsure whether you should stay put or go back into the house and lock the door. Oops, I'm sorry. Was that presumptuous? I've heard about you, but you have no idea who I am, do you? You shook your hand, and she removed her sunglasses to reveal sparkly ocean blue eyes. All of a sudden, she seemed a little more familiar. My son lives here, and my ex too. With a bent smile, she lifted a hand to point at the condo across the street from your house. She was Cole's mom. You didn't know why. You hadn't realized sooner, now that you got a good look at her. She seemed nice. Her attitude was friendly, and it seemed like she was generally happy to meet you. No matter your thoughts on her, you still felt taken aback that she had appeared here so suddenly. Cove mentioned she she was coming, but you hadn't gotten the impression it would be the very next day. She extended a hand again, this time for you to take, and you studied the manicured fingers in front of your face and the assortment of bracelets that dangled from her wrist. I'm Kara Therese. You can call me Kara. You shook her hand. You reached out and took her hand, and she shook yours, firmly, raining wide. I'm Chippy, but you already knew that.
That I do.
Cole's mentioned you to me before. It's nice to officially meet you, Chippy. Cole talked to you about his mom. He hadn't mentioned how he said things about you to her. Yes. What has Cole said about you? Oh, I can't tell you that. I've already said too much. She laughed good-naturedly. You couldn't be happy about that answer, though. The sound of a door opening and closing caught both your attentions, and when you turned towards the sound, it was to find Cole exiting his house, his eyes skimming the ground. Considering just how tall he had grown, you kind of figured his mom also would have been tall, but she was much more on the short side for an adult. Anyway, Cole's height must have come from his father.
My baby!
There you are. I thought you were going to keep me standing out here all night, all day. You tried to catch Cole's eyes as he walked towards you, but his gaze was firmly fixed on the sidewalk. When he finally crossed the road, he looked up. He gave you a pitiful look. After the way he had acted last night, you knew he must be feeling pretty mixed up about this. You tried to wordlessly express that you understood. Cole and I are heading into town to grab something to eat while the store is at work. Kara beamed at Cove and ruffled her hair, which only seemed to upset him more. Ruffled his hair, so he seemed to upset him more. You assumed the store she was talking about was Mr. Home. Hey, you should come with us, Chippy. I'd love to get to know you better. Yeah, you should come, says Cove. There was a pleading in his tone that you couldn't miss. Of course, we'll run it by your parents first, reasonably and all that.
Howdy, Hoosies!
It'll give me an excuse to meet them, which I need to do at some point. It's important to be neighborly if I'm going to be boosting on the street for the time being. Anywho's, let's go. Kara walked ahead towards your house, and you were hung back with Cove, who crinkled his nose as he watched her.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about her, but I really do want you to come. I don't want to be just the two of us. Not right now. You leaned in closer and whispered while checking around for anyone who might hear. What happened? Did your dad know you were gone? Cove shook his head and sighed heavily. Dad was focused on Mom showing up that he didn't even notice. I thought when I heard them on the phone last night that it was something they were planning for the future. This morning Dad said it was supposed to be a surprise. And I guess I was surprised. She was going to be here all summer. Oh. You were surprised to hear that too. Cove sighed in even heavier. I'll go with you if you really want me to. He smiled. His shoulders were relaxing a little in relief. Thanks. That'd be cool. The two of you headed over to where Cove's mom had just knocked on your front door and stood behind her. Mom answered the door. After a minute, her eyebrows lifted in surprise at the group she found in front of her. You realized that, like you, she would have no idea that it was Cove's mom who was hanging with you. However, after blinking at the woman a couple of times and looking between her and Cove, the realization seemed to strike on her. Hello there, I'm Pamela.
I see.
I see. You've met my kid, Chippy, and I'm guessing you've already known Cove for a while. Kara laughed, and you and Cove exchanged looks at your parents' weird sense of humor. I'm Kara Priest, Cove's mom. It's so nice to meet you. I had a purple-brown hair caught your eye as Mom popped up behind Mom, squeezing herself in beside her. We have company. I was wondering what all the commotion was. She grinned excitedly at Kara. The two of them introduced themselves and shook hands.
Hello.
Hi, Chippy, Cove. Cove smiled at Mom shyly, and she gestured a hand towards the living room. There's no use hanging around the doorway. Why don't you come in? I'd love to, but I promised to take my son out to eat, and I wouldn't want to hold you up with a surprise visit. Ah, I understand. You're welcome to stop by anytime, said Mom.
Of course.
I'll take you up on the offer when I can. Count on it. Would you mind too if Chippy went with Cove and I? My treat. We wouldn't be driving. Just a quick walk down the road. Sure. That sounds nice.
Have fun!
I hope you all have fun. You gave your moms a look, and they smiled at you fondly. You were happy they were letting you go. You were annoyed. You were happy they were letting you go. You couldn't tell that Cove really needed the support, and you were ready to be there for him.
Marvelous!
Marvelous. Expect us back in an hour or two. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care. Your parents waved goodbye to the three of you as you backed up into the street. There was the sound of the front door closing behind you. I'm pretty positive I saw some restaurants when I was in the taxi not too far from here, says Kara.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tourist town, isn't it? There's lots of them around. It was kind of strange to see Cove give someone this much attitude. If he wasn't in the mood to be nice, he generally just kept to himself. Kara put her hands on her hips and smiled at herself.
Well,
You sound like the area expert. Do you have any recommendations for a place nearby? Not really, says Cove. Kara pouted at him a little and turned to you instead. How about you, Chippy? Want to point me in the right direction? Sure, I have a couple of flavors. You've been to a lot of places in town, and there were a couple that stood out from all the rest. There's a Chinese restaurant that me and my family go to all the time. It's my mom's favorite. There's also a tropical themed place that tries to be sort of fancy. Both sound like a treat. I'll leave it to you to pick for us, since Cove is going through a phase over there. He huffed at her and turned his face away. Let's see. You insisted Cove contribute to the decision. It's okay, Cove. Tell us which you want more. He mumbled, scopely, willing to reject his mom, but not you. I like the tropical place more. That's what I would have gone for too, says Kara. The two votes in favor of one restaurant. It seemed it was settled. We can go there.
thank you.
Thank you, Chippy. Will you show us the way? You nodded, talking the lid off your feet. Little group as Cove and his mom followed behind you. Together, the three of you left the neighborhood behind. The walk was about 15 minutes. Along the way, Kara asked a lot of questions about the area. Cove was quite quiet most of the time, so you ended up answering her instead. Kara explained that she lived in a large city and she loved how peaceful and relaxing everything seemed in Sunset Verde. The restaurant was busy as usual, but luckily you were shown right to a small table. Kara lowered herself into the chair, while Cove picked one diagonal to her, not facing her, or to her side. It was awkward. Let's see. To start, what would you all like to drink? I'll get an orange soda, says Cove.
Noted.
Noted, Chippy. Soda. I pick soda. Which flavor? Cola. Sure. Kara placed the order for your drinks, getting a black hot coffee for herself. It didn't take long before they were brought to the table and set in front of you. You took a long sip of your drink as you looked around the restaurant. Your small group checked over the menus, deciding what to order. Last time you came here, the dish you ordered was amazing. You wanted to order something different this time. Kara and Cove didn't need any encouragement for this. They were totally focused on the information in front of them. Soon the meals too were ordered, the menus taken away. You glanced at the table surface, wanting to figure out what to say. Cove slunk back further into his chair and avoided eye contact. He started to twiddle his thumbs while acting like all of this was perfectly normal. His sour feelings today were Instead of asking more open questions, he brushed off Kara, had mercy on her son, and instead put her focus towards you.
So,
Chippy, what's a few things that you're into? There's got to be something you do for fun, especially now that you're not buried in school assignments. I go to the beach, swim. You must be a strong swimmer since you live so close to the ocean. I find the water a little scary, but I still like to dip my toes sometimes. I look for seashells. I keep the best ones I find for my collection. I'm sure it's an incredible collection. I like to build sandcastles. That sounds like fun, says Kara. Walk along the shore. That's a nice way to relax. I hope to be able to spend some time on the shore while I'm here myself. And Carter let out a sudden laugh, and Cove gasped beside him. It was dramatic enough inhale that he almost choked on the soda. Shrugged at the reaction. It was truthful. It was a truthful answer to the question. Chippy, says Cove. Cove whispered at you disapprovingly, obscuring part of his face with a hand, but Kara only waved him off and encouraged you to go on. We spend the time together when we can. Spend time together when we can. I like it, says I. Well, we have something in common, says Kara. Kara smiled at Cove. He didn't look too impressed by either of you at that moment. Music. I listen to a lot of it. I have an MP3 player at home that my mom helped me put some music on, and I've seen some concerts. Awesome, says Kara. I spend time on art, drawing. I filled out a lot of sketchbooks. Painting. I enjoy painting from time to time too, but I can't say I'm any good at it. So say anything else.
Thanks!
Thanks. I'm happy to learn more about you. There's so much I hadn't heard. Cove leaves the details out. He was trying not to pay attention, but you could tell he was uncomfortable. Hoping it would clear some of the tension in the air, you decided to ask Kara a few questions on your own. Cove hadn't told you much about her. You were curious to know more about this woman who was such a big part of his life. What exactly do you do for work? I'm a travel writer for magazines and things. I keep people in the loop on what's worth seeing. It's good work, says Carter. Wow. What do you like to do? What do you like to do? Spend time with my little boy, of course, and traveling. A real shock home. Where do you live? Normally, Nevada. Have you ever been there? You shook your head. It's a beautiful place. Check it out if you can. Stop it right there. It didn't seem to bother her that the conversation dropped off. Cove sipped his soda angrily, slurping up the remaining drink with furrowed brows. He looked ready to run straight out of the restaurant. You weren't sure if coming along had ended up making the lunch better or worse. You gave him a sympathy. Cove eventually noticed you watching him and gave him a look that let him know you were there for him. It took a couple moments, but finally he cracked a smile, and that made you feel a little lighter inside.
Very cute.
You two seem really cute together, says Kyra. Cove covered his face with his hands and leaned back in his seat.
Seriously?
Mom, why would you say that? Thanks, sweetheart. Very, says Kyra. The meals were delivered shortly after that, and everything was delicious. Even Cole enjoyed his food.
Okay.
Alright, now that we're all full and content, can you explain please why you've had a bug up your butt all day? Cole's face scrunched at that. Seriously, baby, what did Mom do to make you this mad? I haven't even been around a full day yet. He gripped the edge of the table, refusing to make eye contact. The words spoke were barely audible over the din of the restaurant. You could have told me. She leaned forward to miss everything else, eyeballs raised. Told you what? He finally seemed to find his voice and spoke the thoughts that had been on his mind. That I wasn't going to visit you this year, that you were going to be coming instead. Didn't you invite me? You wanted me here with you. Cole's eyes began to shake, and his frustration embedded. I didn't. I do want you around. Why do you around? I do want you around, but I don't know it'd be like this. It's not the same, and nobody said anything.
I see.
Her expression grew tense. She threaded her fingers together and placed her hands in front of her on the table. We've been gifted another Clifford surprise, says Kyra, referring to that was a Clifford surprise almost caused both of you and Cove to crack a smile. You also had no idea his name wasn't just Cliff. Over the 5 years, nobody had even called him Clifford until now. She smoothed her hair out not letting go of her stormy look. The more things change, says Kara, the more things stay the same, says Clove. They let out an evidential sighs, but smiled weakly at one another afterwards.
I'm sorry.
I can go home, Clove. We can still set up a normal trip to my place before summer ends. Clove's lips tightly closed together. He seriously pondered the option.
I mean...
I think I do want you to stay. I miss it when you're not there. My heart, says Kara. She reached across the gap, grabbed her face, and planted a kiss on his cheek. Clove tried to wiggle away. Mom, stop. Kara was completely I don't know the word. Cove's emission, though a tone of seriousness did return to her voice when the conversation continued. You want to talk to your dad too?
No!
Says Cove. Cove had snapped the word instantly, but reeled his annoyance back in just as quickly. Maybe later, not today.
It's alright.
I understand. We can shell it. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for talking to me, little mister. She grinned affectionately at him before turning their way. And thank you, Chippy. Huh? What did I do? It's easy to act like a baby with your mom. It's harder to keep that up with your neighbor watching everything. Especially when you really care about what said neighbor thinks of you. She winked. Mom, says Clove. She just ruffled his hair with a laugh, then moved her hand down to tap the end of his nose. And that was how the issue was resolved, at least between Cove and his mom. Then the three of you left the restaurant and Kara paid the bill and you walked back to your neighborhood slowly. You had eaten much by that time. You were beginning to feel sleepy. It didn't help that the lunch had happened late and the sun was already beginning to descend from the sky. But eventually you reached your street. Someone was there to greet your group upon arrival. Welcome back, family, and Chippy too, says Cove's dad.
Huh.
Cliff, says Carla. Dad, says Cove. The two walked past him into the condo without sparing another word. Despite the summer heat, their shoulders were cold. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Yep. He rubbed his back. He rubbed the back of his neck with a quick smile, but his eyes were soft as he looked on after them. He's so much like his mom, don't you think? Asked Cove's dad. You gave a vague nod, not sure what he was expecting you to do. He nodded back far more energetically. Okay. Have a nice night, Chippy, says Coco. You too, Mr. Holden. With that, Cove's dad disappeared to join the others inside. It was her turn to go home now. Summer hadn't started off all how you imagined it. It would have, though, turned out to set tone well. Having Kara in the neighborhood was a new experience for not only you and Cove, but also both your families. And a dull moment was rarely had. Okay, that's the end of it. Our next step will be wave moment. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to save it right there. I'm going to save it right there. Again, thank you for everybody watching on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that like button and click the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Also, don't forget to check out my Patreon account and become a Patreon contributor to my Patreon, so that I can in turn donate that money to a worthy charity. Okay, so go check that out today and become a contributor today. Thank you, and I will see you guys later.